the heart.
The power of the heart. Finding your inner wisdom.
The power of the heart.
Finding the power of the
Finding the
heart.
power of the heart.
The power of the
Power
heart.
of the heart. Power of the heart.
让我们寻回新的力量。The
Power
power
of
of
the
the heart.
heart.
Thank you for joining us today. My name is Yuru Chao. You are tuning in to the Power of the Heart on Dai Radio. Earlier this year, an online business newspaper published a report about Tzu Chi work in the Philippines. The title of the report is Helping People Help Themselves. Let me read this news to you. It says, I came across recently an item regarding Yolanda survivors in Tacloban City becoming volunteers themselves. It was a simple but admirable story of empowering people, in this case, typhoon victims, to raise their community from ruins. In the Philippines, in recent years, Tzu Chi volunteers actively offer relief and assistance to victims of Typhoon Sendong in late 2011 and Yolanda in late 2013. During the Sendong relief operations in northern Mindanao, Tzu Chi volunteers distributed about 9,000 sacks of rice to about 5,000 families in Cagayan de Oro and 4,000 families in Iligan City. The sack of rice were donated by the Agriculture and Food Agency of Taiwan to Tzu Chi Foundation. Then Foundation volunteers also distributed thermal blankets, used clothing, and cooking utensils. But what I find particularly interesting is the Tzu Chi-led initiative to engage Tacloban residents in December 2013 in a Cash for Work program to clean up the town. This is to deal with the dirty work of immediately sprouting off Tacloban and removing all the debris created and left by Typhoon Yolanda. And judging from video footages of the flattened coast, this was a tall order. A report on the Tzu Chi website detailed how Tzu Chi volunteers soon arriving at Tacloban started the Cash for Work program that involved shelling out a daily relief fund of 5,000 pesos to people that would help clean up their community. It was a way both to help bring the city back to normal and put badly needed cash into the pockets of the residents. And this is the same cleanup program that reportedly prompted many residents, after several days of doing work for cash from Tzu Chi, to eventually become volunteers and to continue the cleanup work even without pay. Residents believe that they should start helping themselves, and thus reportedly didn't mind not getting paid for the work. This is precisely the kind of assistance that disaster victims require, the type that change mindsets and prompt people to stop feeling sorry for themselves and to start looking for a solution to their problems. Groups like Tzu Chi merely provide the catalyst to prompt volunteerism and then encourage the disaster victims themselves to rebuild their own communities. The Cash for Work program also involved putting up necessary infrastructure like a temporary school. Tzu Chi volunteers provided many prefabricated classrooms to these schools. The construction work was done with locals who joined the Cash for Work program, and the students themselves cleaned and carried the tables they would use for school. Such is the power of forming positive karmic affinities. What Tzu Chi volunteer did is to spread the love and wisdom to the recipients of aids, who then transform themselves from receiver to giver and help others. Seeing this love is well received and replicated, we see that seeds of positive karmic affinities are alive and thriving for the community once were thought to be beyond hope and almost got abandoned. In our program today, we'll begin with a reading of Master Cheng Yan's teaching about awareness of karmic affinities by Dharma Master De Ling. Then, after a short break, we'll discuss this teaching with Lisa. In our program, you'll also hear from people around the world and their favorite 正思 aphorism.
You are listening to The Power of the Heart on Dai Radio. Tapping into the power of the heart. Finding your inner wisdom. Finding the power of the heart.
The Power of the Heart. Part 1. A Spiritual Perspective on Life. Today, we will be listening to the teaching on awareness of karmic affinities. In life, there are people that we feel drawn toward, and people it seems we can't help but dislike. Even though someone may be a nice and good person, somehow, when we see him or her, a feeling of strong dislike arises, unbidden. Just seeing them causes a change in our mood, but we don't even know why we react so negatively to them. Without our control, our attitude becomes very bad, our tone sharp, our words unkind. Why does this happen? The reason for this rejection lies in our having formed negative relations with this person in a past life. In Buddhism, we call these negative karmic affinities. Meanwhile, when we have negative karmic affinities with people, we are not able to accept anything they have to say. Even if they are in fact sincere and good people, we do not feel that they are. But, just as we can form negative karmic affinities with others, positive karmic affinities can also be formed. When we share positive karmic affinities with people from a past life, in this life we will naturally take a liking to them. In liking them, everything they say sounds quite right and sensible to us, and we readily agree with them. Even when their views are actually distorted or wrong, we place our faith in them and believe them to be in the right. Therefore, even when they lead us to do wrong things, we willingly follow them and believe them to be good people who are doing the right thing. This is because of the positive karmic affinities between us and them. There is a story about the Buddha, his disciple Ananda, and a poor woman that illustrates the power of karmic affinities. When the Buddha came into her village, the impoverished woman could not stand the sight of the Buddha. Immediately upon seeing him, she disliked him and could not take in any of his teachings. When the woman saw Ananda, however, she liked him very much and was drawn to him. When he shared the Buddha's teachings with her, she was very happy to listen and found the teachings to be quite beneficial. The situation was due to the karmic affinities the three had formed in a former life. In that life, the woman had lost her child and was consumed by grief. A spiritual cultivator passing her by on the side of the road saw her crying and stopped to ask why she was. But after learning that her tears were over the death of her child, he stoically explained that there was no need to grieve, for death was but a natural law of life. His detached manner and direct words felt very harsh and cold to her, making her feel angry and hurt. Later, another cultivator happened along the same road and likewise stopped to ask the reason for her tears. Upon learning of her child's death, this cultivator compassionately comforted her while sharing with her the Buddhist perspective on life and death. The first cultivator was Shakyamuni Buddha in that life. The second was Ananda. Because of the karmic affinities they had formed in that interaction, in this lifetime the woman disliked the Buddha on sight, despite his being a Buddha. Such is the impact of karmic affinities. The making of karmic affinities has much to do with our attitude and behavior. The tiniest of comments or a moment's harshness in tone could mean the forming of negative karmic affinities. Therefore, we need to be very mindful and aware in our daily life. We must also understand that the good and bad feelings we have toward people in our lives are in fact due to the karmic affinities formed in past lives. The karmic affinities color our perception of them as good or bad people. If we can realize this, then even though we may feel a strong dislike towards someone, we can start to change our perception of them and become successful in overcoming our negative feelings. Then we can begin to transform the karmic affinities between us, for at every moment we in fact have the chance to create new karmic affinities with people. But if we continue to hold on to the belief that the other person is truly a bad person and refuse to consider that our perception is influenced by karmic affinities, we will just continue to perpetuate the negative karmic affinities. If we can truly understand the existence and impact of karmic affinities, we can transform our relationships with others. This is the kind of mindful practice we should do in our daily life.
Hello, my name is Sarah. I would like to share with you a Jing's aphorism that inspired me the most. Some years ago, when I was still in the States, I was struggling with my life. I didn't know where my life was heading. At that time, my fellow Tzu Chi volunteers were very worried about me. A Sibo then wrote me an email and shared, "As we put the front foot down, we lift the back foot up," by messaging him. It means that we have to let the past go and focus on what's in front of us. The Jing's aphorism really gave me a solid feeling that no matter what, I just have to keep going. I could always look back to my memory, but never be trapped by my past. Now I enjoy my life and being very grateful to the people and things that came into my life. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
You are listening to The Power of the Heart.
Our special guest today is Lisa. Lisa and I go way back many years ago to a time when I just started working for Tzu Chi in New York. We went to Tzu Chi's Iowa flood relief distribution together. We helped to set up and run a Tzu Chi photo exhibit called Journey to the West at United Nations headquarters and TECO New York office. Not to mention Lisa's great help in taking on the care for many terminally ill individuals. I'm very grateful to have known her. Welcome to the program, Lisa.
Hi, Yuru. Hello, everybody.
I know that you went to Tacloban, Philippines recently to help with Tzu Chi Typhoon Yolanda disaster relief project. And you've been there for a while, and I believe you must have seen a lot and observed a lot of suffering going on there and Tzu Chi's work to alleviate suffering there. Can you share with us your experience there? Take us there.
Well, I was very fortunate to be part of the team. I wouldn't say that I did much, but I would have to say that I was there, and the bank that was giving us a lot of help was a local bank in the Philippines. Yes, you were right. He originally did not want to. He never thought about shutting down his bank. so then his staff can be available to help us with the distributions. Because one of the distribution days falls on Monday. We originally had it as Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Monday is a working day. If it's not because of this great work our brothers and sisters of the Philippines have done for the past almost 20 years in having good relationship with them, and their devotion to making sure this money will reach the victims there, I don't think anybody can ever inspire the general manager or the vice president of the bank, Bernie, that's his name. Bernie was telling me the whole time when we're trying to tell him, is this possible? Is that possible? Is it okay for you to work with us on this and that? He always have an answer to it, including that he needs to look after his staff, which was being very responsible of him. And so he doesn't want his staff to be overworked, and he doesn't think it's possible. He can do whatever he can, but there are limitations. Until at the end, he asked me, why? Why would we have to do it in one weekend? Then I say to him, because just like how you look after your staff, we want to look after our brothers and sisters. For many of them who are now currently at the disaster-affected area are not the natives or locals of the Philippines or Tacloban. They are actually from Taiwan or other countries. They haven't, for many of them, they haven't even seen their loved ones for nearly a month. And so we totally understand why you want to look after your staff, but at the same time, we want to make sure they will have a chance to go home before the holiday. It was just right before Christmas and right a week before New Year. So this immediately resonated with him. As you found this interaction from his response, I see how there's no boundary between love, this communal sentiments that we all share. He immediately looked at me and said, fine, I'll shut down my branch offices in Tacloban, and so then people would not have to go to work on Monday and they can go help. It was very touching. I wish they could do it again so I can put it on record. I mean, on the video, and I can record him. It was very, very touching. And one of our sister who was there say to him, "You better run now, otherwise I'll go and give you a hug, or I'll give you a kiss on the cheek." And I don't think you want to be kissed by a 60-year-old lady. That she was joking with him. So, it was very touching. People think that, oh, you guys did a good job, but every one of us in the room think we didn't do this alone. We did this with a lot of support and love and faith. Came from the volunteers from all over the world for the past 47 years. This is the accumulation of affinities and accumulation of a love. And as a result, we were lucky to be one of the few representatives there. And so this is something we'll always remember, because this is the first time in the history that we were told that a bank is actually distributing cash, not inside of any bank, without those 4 walls and a mini security guard and a locked door and things like that. But actually in a disaster affected area where there was muddy road and open doors because there's no door, no walls, and victims who don't have anything, don't have much money with them. They could be very emotional, right? But there's such great faith there, and there's such a great love involved that's how everything all come about. That's why it happened.
And Lisa, can you tell us more about the transitional classroom? I saw in the news that you went to the school and some of the students had a very touching segment on the news about your conversation with the students. Can you tell us more?
Yes. When we first landed in Tacloban, we came in with a mind prepared to see a lot of debris and then a disaster affected area, just like what people would assume. And we did, and we saw that. But we were not prepared to see smiles on the faces of the people there. But we saw that. Then it didn't come easy. The smile didn't come very easy, because if you know just exactly how much work the Tzu Chi volunteers have done and how much love they have given to them for the past month just before we got there, to turn their remorse and speechless and lifeless face to a smile, then you will know how lucky we were to be there, to receive this kind of warm and happy welcome and appreciation from the victims. I mean, I don't like to call them victims. They're just family members, but you just so that people can differentiate and to understand what we're talking about here. In any case, so we were lucky to participate in one of the opening of the temporary school that we have built for the students. Before we got there, we saw there are some schools still remain on the ground, but they don't have any roof. The kids cannot go to school or go to classroom without having a roof over them, because it is a tropical island there, and peninsula actually. So every day there is some temporary shower or rain to come visit them. Then so having a roof is very important. So in addition to that, this need, we built a temporary school classroom for the students, and they were very touched. So they wanted to have an opening ceremony and using it, and they danced and then they sang for us, and they actually, welcome us and give us a lot of warmth by giving us the hug and things like that. And just when we were immersing ourselves with this kind of a love given by the students and the principal and teachers of the school, I was being called to the back because there was a group of students that were crying. And so people were like, okay, we need someone to come and talk to those children here, because we don't know why they're crying. So I went over there and talked to the kids. And then I found out it was because they have just went through this trauma. Typhoon Yolanda being the record of the typhoon in the history, took away everything they have ever since the day they were born. Whether that's photos, memories, cards, the stuffed animal, anything they found memorable, anything that they would treasure, it's all gone. They went away with Typhoon Yolanda to somewhere. They didn't have much hope. They didn't know what's next. And then Tzu Chi volunteer came on board. And guess what? They felt this love, and they felt the purpose to live on. And they felt it's not as bad. Life can continue because we were there for them. However, they also know they were leaving. They were leaving after the weekend. So it was too much for the kids at that age. They're all teenagers to take. And I can totally relate to that. So instead of just tell them, I understand, I'd rather for them to remember this incident and let's think of it and take it as from a positive perspective. So I was talking to the students. Typhoon Yolanda came to you, and this is a result of an imbalance of 4 elements, and that's why we have this natural disaster. And because of this severity of the typhoon, it would be on the records, whether it would be in a history book or in the documentations. And a lot of researchers or historians will come to review them in a year, a few years' time, or even now. Why don't we do this? Why don't we give them something to learn about, something to study about as a result of this typhoon, that we are able to learn from the natural disaster, that our responsibility as a citizen of the world, how should we help to lessen this kind of disaster from happening? And we can do that. Instead of just let them know how devastated it was, how we were sad, we were crying, we lost a lot of loved ones. Oh, many of the students lost their parents or their loved ones, friends, family. Why don't we give them something to think about? Why don't we give them something so they can stay on the record? So in the future, if disaster was to happen to another country and some students were to see it, when they go online to research, they will find a way how you stand up, how you bring yourself back to life, how you have faith, and how you learn from this disaster. So then you also give them the hope for the future. And you also tell them just exactly how they can love each other, how they can be there for each other, so that they can leave a better legacy for the generation to come and to protect the Mother Nature. The students, very surprisingly, I didn't know if they would understand what I was saying, but they all agree. And then at the end of this tier, there was a lot of a yes going on, and people were smiling, they were cheering for each other. What Typhoon Yolanda have told us and brought us together, it's also a form of karmic affinities. But how can we better use this karmic affinity that seems very devastating and turn it into something positive? It's our responsibility. And I saw this through the action of the Tzu Chi volunteers, as how they carry out the teachings of Dharma Master Cheng Yen and putting their love and compassion and respect in action. And that's how we were able to receive this reciprocation from the victims who were affected, from the affected areas there. So it was a very memorable trip. Yeah.
Thank you, Lisa. We will be listening to this book over the next several months. Please join us next time to continue our discussion on the power of the heart. If you want to read this book we're talking about, you can find a copy of this book in any Jingsi bookstore and cafe. And please tune in next time for more teachings from Dharma Master Cheng Yen. Goodbye and have a great day.
Never lose courage, never lose hope. You've got the power to feel and to cope. Be forgiving towards others. Remain in peace inside yourself. Never lose courage, never lose hope. You've got the power to feel and to cope. Be forgiving towards others. Remain in peace inside yourself. We cannot love when filled with suspicions. We cannot trust when filled with doubts. We cannot live unwilling to believe. The only way to live is living with love. Never lose courage, never lose hope. You've got the power to feel and to cope. Be forgiving towards others. Remain in peace inside yourself. We cannot love when filled with suspicions. We cannot trust when filled with doubts. We cannot live unwilling to believe. The only way to live is living with love. To live in peace, we must have inner peace. To have inner peace, we must have a clear conscience. We bring peace and bliss to those around.